How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Lifetime Angler. So today what we're going to do, we're going to have a little bit of a serious talk. It is getting cold outside. By getting cold, I mean that's down here in the south. You guys up north, it's already cold. It is the beginning of December. Man, I love fishing year-round, but there's certain things you have to pay attention to. So if you're a fair weather fisherman, this video is probably not going to apply to you. But for you guys, they're a little bit loose with the screw in the head like I am. You want to fish no matter what the weather is. This one's for you. Pay attention. Alright, so we all know that guy, wears shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops all the way through December. And y'all, it is December. It's getting dark. It's cold. Hey, I got my fishing rod. I'm ready to go fish. Until I'm wet. Thanks. Yo, you get wet, if you're not ready, it can be cold enough, hypothermia set in, all that jazz. Not hypothermia right now, but I am a baby. I don't like the cold. I gotta go. Alright guys, so we had a little bit of fun there. Probably the only time I'll be thankful for my wife throwing a bucket of cold water on me in December. But guys, being out in cold weather and fishing around water where there's a chance of you going in, getting wet, it's serious stuff. So we had a fun joke, but let's talk about some things you can do to stay safe if you are out there like me, year-round fishing. First things first. Guys, I shouldn't have to say it, but wear your PFD. If you're not going to wear your life jacket, stick to fair weather fishing. And really, even in fair weather, if you're on the water, you need to be wearing it. Hey, I'll admit it, I'm guilty, I don't all the time. But during the winter, yes, wear it. If it's too uncomfortable to wear for you, too bad, don't go fish. That's all I'm going to say about that. Second thing, guys, most of us have a smartphone. Most of us can check weather, snap at our fingers, we know what the weather's doing. So when you're planning a trip, pay attention to that weather. If it's going to be ugly in the winter, don't go out there. And by ugly, I'm not saying it's going to be cold. Yes, that's nature of the beast in the winter. But if you've got an ice storm coming that's supposed to blow in while you're on the water, don't make the trip. Second thing, if at all possible, continue to use this thing and check the weather while you're out there on the water. Now, if you're like me, there's plenty of places you don't have service, you can't do that. But we've all been outside enough as we grow up. We can watch the sky. We can watch what the weather's doing. If it starts to get sketchy, get off the water. So tip number 3 I'm going to give you, and actually it's 3 and we'll call it 3.5 as well. But number 3, if at all possible, get out on the water only when you can go with a buddy. That way there's 2 of you out there, not just one. If something does happen to you or something does happen to your buddy, there is someone else there that can help things out. Hopefully get help or render help themselves. It's just a better situation than you being out there on your own. Something happens to you. If you can't call for help, who's going to? Now, the kind of half part of this tip. And this is something that, kind of like the life jacket, no ifs, ands, or buts, just do it. At least let someone know where you're going, and when you plan to be back. And when you get back, check in with them. Set it up. If they don't hear from you by the time you're supposed to be back, they're getting a hold of you. If they can't get a hold of you, they're calling emergency services. Because if you haven't checked in, that means something's wrong and you need help. This is one of those deals, if you are going alone, even if you're taking a buddy, still do this. It doesn't cost you anything to have that backup set there to where someone can else, if you haven't made it back, they can get a hold of authorities and get a rescue team out to you. Alright, so here's the deal, guys. If I'm going to keep bringing content to you, if you're finding value in it and you want to see more and more and more in this channel grow and be successful, there's a couple things that have to happen. People have to subscribe, people have to know the videos are here, and people have to watch them. So y'all, the way you can help out, go ahead. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Like the video if you enjoy the content that's in this video. Now, The last thing, if you know friends and family that would enjoy this or need to see this content, share it with them. Anyway, let's get back into those tips. Alright, tip number 4, I have to give credit where credit is due. It's going to relate more to the kayak fishing side of things if you're into that. And if you are, you know who Chad Hoover is, and you might have heard of this before. If not, you're going to hear it now. And again, Chad Hoover's where I got it. Wonderful guy, a lot of knowledge. He calls it the 120 rule. If the air temperature and the water temperature, if you can't add those and it equal 120 or higher, you need to be wearing submersible gear. Now, personally, I don't have the budget for submersible gear. It's just, it's part of it. I'm average redneck like everybody else. So what that means for me is the kayaks get put up when I can't meet that 120 rule. It sucks. There's plenty of days that the weather and water just don't meet that I'd love to get out there, but I'm not going to chance it. On a kayak, your odds of going over, taking a swim, all of that, are that much higher. Hypothermia, cold water shock comes with that. And guys, I'm going to tell you, whether you're on a kayak, a dock, a boat, the bank, whatever, if there's a chance of you going into that water at all, if that water temperature is below 60 degrees, you need to understand that you are at the danger point. There can be negative consequences to going in the water at 60 degrees and below. Number 5, and this one is kind of duh, but I challenge you to really take some time and think about it. Stay dry and stay warm. It's two different things. They both relate to your clothing for the most part, but most of the time, one piece of clothing isn't going to do both of those jobs. You need to be layering your clothes. Wear a base layer, a mid layer, an outer layer, at least. Now, if you get hot during the day, man, that sun comes out, it's a beautiful winter day. You know, we get those here in Texas. Shed that outer layer. It's okay. But man, you've got it if you need it. Big areas to keep an eye on: your toes, your hands, your head. Head, you're looking at your ears and your nose get cold real easy, but out of your head, if it's not covered, that's where you lose the most of your body heat. Your hands and toes, man, I don't know anyone that likes having cold feet, so just keep those warm. That's why they're there. Your hands, they're probably the most likely to be getting wet and cold. So pay special attention to those, because once they are wet, it just gets worse and worse as the cold sinks in. Personally, I love keeping hand warmers on you. Keep them dry, don't get them wet, but they work great. Put them in your pockets when you got time. Warm one hand up, switch it over, warm the other up. It's just a great thing to do. The other thing in staying dry and warm, you can do everything right and you slip off the edge of the boat, or you slip off the edge of the dock. You're soaked now, you're not dry, and you're not warm, I promise you. Always, always, always have a set of extra clothing with you to get you dry again. If you get wet, if you go in the water, you need to be able to get dry. Take a towel and a change of clothes. They don't have to be the warmest clothes, but I promise you, at that point, any dry clothes are better than your warmest wet clothes. It's fun fishing. I love fishing all year round. But guys, during these colder months, we do have to take it serious. There's not a single one of you out there that your life is worth losing over a fishing trip.